set, hut, hut.
As the hills of West Virginia resound with the sound of Golden Blue football.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Now let's bring on the Mountaineers. Goes around about the 50 to 10 to 5. A touchdown, West Virginia. He did it.
He did it. Patrick White. Touchdown, Tay Von Austin.
The Don Nehlen's Mountaineers enjoy walking in where angels fear to tread.
I think you think that these guys are going to fall over dead for you. Well, I got news for you. They're going to punch you right in the mouth. It's Mountaineer pride!
Nothing cheap, nothing dirty, but West Virginia football. West Virginia football.
Leave no doubt tonight. They shouldn't have played the old Golden Blue. Not this night.
They've done it. They've done it. A perfect season. And the Mountaineers, for the first time in history, undefeated and untied.
Don Nehlen and his Mountaineers, for the second time, have finished a regular season with an unblemished mark.
Ain't no stopping
The Golden Blue.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back into another live stream here on the Country Roads webcast, January 12th edition, and this will be a dual sport live stream here as West Virginia picks up the win on the road in conference play against the Colorado Buffaloes. We'll give a little recap, look at some of the stats from that game at the tail end of this stream. But before we get there, yet again, as has been customary in these recent streams, we have another transfer portal update to talk about. I'm going to update you guys on the addition that was and then wasn't and then ends up being official today. And we'll talk about the defensive back, Devontae Golden Nelson, now officially going to be a Mountaineer. We'll give another update on him, throw him back on our transfer portal tracker. And then while we have that up, we'll talk about the remaining guys. There's about 3 or 4 guys remaining as targets for WVU that have either been on visits or, have been on visits prior, in weeks past, or was in on visits recently and still remain uncommitted. As the spring semester is about to start, West Virginia is pretty much wrapping up things with this transfer portal window. Of course, there will be a lot more additions still yet coming after the spring, and we'll continue to cover all of the roster movement throughout. I'm going to try and put up a video in the near future if I don't get to record a podcast, which may come out tomorrow, and talk about some of the early enrollees, some of the freshmen that'll be here early as well. But we have about 3 or 4 guys that we're still on commitment watch for, so we'll talk about those guys as well when we get to our transfer portal update. And then West Virginia officially announcing another staff addition. We'll read through the press release on that one from the university as West Virginia announced the addition of their general manager today, the new general manager of WVU football, which we reported on, I guess that was about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Stephen and I talked about it briefly, bringing Chuck Lilly in from Oklahoma. So not only do you get Zach Alley from Oklahoma, but you get Chuck Lilly, who was the assistant general manager there at Oklahoma, coming to be the full-time GM here at WVU. So we'll talk about those things and then get into a little basketball talk at the tail end, and I'll try and catch up on your all's comments before we wrap up as well. Won't try and make this one too long, coming at you late at night. I know a lot of people may have to work tomorrow, with tomorrow being a Monday, but wanted to get these updates out to you guys tonight when I could. And while you're in here, whether you're watching live or on a playback, just be sure, hit the thumbs up button. That helps us a ton. And be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll keep you up to date on all the off-season happenings throughout the Mountaineer football program here on the Country Roads webcast. So with no further ado, let's get into some of those off-season happenings. Let's do the transfer portal update first, because I think that this is the one that I kind of talked about a little bit last night on the stream. Because it was back on January 10th. You could even see the video on the channel here. We, reported what was going around, that Devontae Golden Nelson had committed to WVU. Rivals had it. Multiple sites had it. One site that didn't have it was 247, which I thought was kind of weird and interesting. And then it comes out, next day or, day after that because had spoken to him, and he said he hadn't really, decided to commit yet because it came from other places except from Devontae Golden Nelson himself. So then you saw yesterday some people kind of backtrack and saying, well, we're going to wait and see. He's going to announce his decision soon, which we thought he may announce it yesterday. Ended up not doing that. Instead, looking to announce it today, as West Virginia does end up being the choice still yet. I was a little bit nervous because from what I had heard was West Virginia was going to be the choice, but then all of a sudden it leaked out, and so he kind of remained mum, and I was kind of worried that had rubbed him the wrong way, that it leaked out, that maybe he was going to decide on one of his other choices because he did have other options. But today he puts it out on social media, Devontae Golden Nelson from nothing to something, hashtag hard edge, hashtag HellWV, and you see his commitment video here that he shared to go along with it with some nice clips there from his visit. One of the pictures, of course, I used on the thumbnail for this video, but West Virginia adds Devontae Golden Nelson, which is a good pickup because West Virginia is continuing to try and revamp this secondary, and we thought he was going to be a part of it before. Now it's officially confirmed that he will indeed be a part of it. So let's pull up a little bit of this article from Rivals, talking a little bit about some of his numbers. Because I think that they're actually really good. Started his career at Memphis, 5'10", 180 pounder, but despite, not having the greatest length there with the 5'10" size, he can play outside corner. So he's going to be a contestant there, one of the guys that's in the battle to be one of the starting outside corners. I think Michael Coates will have one of those jobs. Maybe Golden Nelson will be competing with Tarnew and Jacoby Spells, some other guys with a lot of experience. So either way, you've got really 4 at least super experienced corners, because I believe Jacoby Spells will be a senior. Tarnew's back for an extra year of eligibility. You got 1 year of eligibility from these other guys that you're bringing in as well. But Golden Nelson, while at Akron, during his time with the Zips, appeared in 29 games, 66 tackles, 10 pass breakups, and a pair of interceptions. Entered the portal on December 17th, was obviously pursued by plenty of programs, Oklahoma State, Houston, and UNLV. Ended up being the ones that he decided between alongside West Virginia. Played over 1,000 snaps during his time at Akron. 613 this past season with a 66 grade according to PFF, which is not bad at all. That's starter level for sure. And he's only allowed 2 touchdowns in his career, which that last sentence right there is the one that stuck out to me the most. And when you go watch a little bit about Golden Nelson's tape, you watch a little bit of his film, something that sticks out is, yes, he played at Akron, but he played some really tough competition as well, and really put up some good grades and some decent stats, and held his own when he did play those power conference programs. He played Rutgers, and then even played the likes of Ohio State, who obviously making the big run here. In the CFP, about to play for a national championship, and he has experience playing them. So, don't sleep on these, group of 5 guys. I say it all the time, but I think that Golden Nelson is one that kind of flew under the radar, by some accounts, but you can see a lot of power conference programs taking notice by the other ones that were pursuing him. But he ultimately decides on WVU, so we can add him now to our transfer portal tracker, back to our transfer in list, which we had him on there previously a couple days ago, but now it's official that he is back on here into the mix, as West Virginia has added several defensive backs over the past few days, continuing to revamp that secondary. Like we said, they've completely remade West Virginia's pass defense for 2025, completely remade the defense in general. Love the way that they've done that, and they also have done a good job bringing in offensive linemen over the past few days, bringing in 3 of those and getting Justin Terry back out of the portal, so essentially adding 4 scholarship offensive linemen, which you really needed to do there. West Virginia's transfer class, super impressive. I believe it's 25 names, if I'm not mistaken, last time I counted. So doing a great job already, and not done yet. Like I said, there's going to be more after the spring. You're talking about 30 to 40 transfers that I suspect West Virginia to bring in. More on that momentarily. I did want to point out, I've been trying to point out the destinations of some of the transfers out. Ryder Burton, the latest to announce his destination, heading to UAB. You still got a handful here in the portal that remain uncommitted, unless they committed and I missed it. Those being Raleigh Collins, Josiah Jackson, and Jayla Anderson. I don't think have announced destinations yet, but you see the landing spots of the others. But as far as players West Virginia has had in on a visit, they remain uncommitted. We did have to take some guys off of this list, as you can see, down to only 5 names now, which personally, I think only 4 of these were really on commitment watch for. I don't have the best feeling about Justice Finkley just because West Virginia's brought in Braden Siders, who I'm extremely excited about. Talked about him in last night's live stream. And then Keenan Eck. Let me share this while we're talking about it here during the transfer portal update. We knew that West Virginia had him coming in on a visit, got him on campus, and then he actually announced today that he did get the official scholarship offer. He put it out on social media, which he's a defensive end from the JUCO ranks that I think is a really good pass rusher. Guys, would be a great guy for us to pick up, a 6'5 frame. And the fact that West Virginia added Siders and then sent out the offer to Eck, I think probably, to me, has all signs pointing to Justice Finkley likely committing to one of the other programs that's pursuing him. But I do have good feeling about Keenan Eck. I have a good feeling about Dallas Holmes. Got my fingers crossed for Adam Tomczyk. But the one that we're really watching is William Reed, because I think he would be, like I said, my favorite addition of the offensive lineman that we've added for sure, because I think he's a day one starter type. But he has plenty of programs after him. Not the most confident about him. So the very least one that I have, next to no confidence about currently is Justice Finkley. William Reed, I'm at best 50-50 on, but I think we have a good shot at Keenan Eck, Dallas Holmes, and Adam Tomczyk. All of these guys have been in Morgantown already for a visit and going to be announcing destinations here in the near future. Like I said, I'm confident in 3 out of the 5, or at least, I'd say 3 out of the 5 I'm pretty confident in that could end up being Mountaineers. So that would put us at near 30 names. If we get 3 of those, that would put us, I think, 28 or 29. So we're nearing 30 already before even getting to the spring transfer portal window. And just what a job by this staff over the past about week and a half, adding, nearly 20 names after this list was at 5. And so they've added more in the past week and a half than West Virginia's added maybe the past year or two total transfers. I think they had what was like 14 to 18, something like that last year, and it was probably around that number the year before. So West Virginia completely remaking the roster, completely rebuilding the defense, and securing another defensive back to help with that today in Devontae Golden Nelson. Got some defensive linemen and some offensive linemen year after here to try and help you with your still remaining targets that remain uncommitted. So that's where we're kind of at here as far as the transfer portal update in this here live stream on January 12th on the CRW. So wanted to discuss that. And then we have the coaching staff news as West Virginia finally officially announces the addition of the GM that we knew was coming over from Oklahoma. You see him sharing the official announcement on social media. Chuck Lilly saying, "Let's get to work." Hashtag LWV, hashtag Hard Edge. And we will pull up that very press release from the university announcing that today, as we've been trying to keep you guys abreast on all of these coaching updates throughout the offseason. West Virginia nearly completely has the official staff announced all the way through now. I think there's at least one more name that I know of in Travis Trickett, but there may be some other support staff ones that pop up and surprise us. But the general manager, Chuck Lilly, announced today just before 1 p.m. by Mike Montoro. You see West Virginia University football coach Rich Rodriguez has announced the hiring of Chuck Lilly as the general manager for the Mountaineer football program. And we get Coach Rodriguez's statement here. Chuck's knowledge and experience gives our football program the ability to navigate through an ever-changing world of NIL and the portal. We're excited to have him here for our student athletes, and we welcome him here to WVU, where he will work as the lead negotiator on all player acquisition deals. He'll oversee the entire scouting and recruiting operation and roster management process, including high school, JUCO, and portal recruitment and player retainment. So right now, I think after, reading that paragraph and knowing that he has been here for some time, this is just the official announcement, and seeing what West Virginia's done here in the portal. You can go back over the past week, all the transfer portal updates we've done, just adding multiple names in each day, doing a phenomenal job. I think right now it's a golf clap, a slow clap already. A round of applause has been awarded to Chuck Lilly even before he gets the official press release, which just comes out today. He's been doing a hell of a job. He comes to West Virginia from Oklahoma, where he served as the assistant GM there since April 2024. While with the Sooners, he worked with current WVU assistant head coach Zach Alley and current Nichols coach Henry Weinreich. at OU. Lilly oversaw roster management in conjunction with the head coach overseeing the recruiting and scouting process there as well. So obviously has experience doing that, what he's going to be doing here at WVU. Went to Oklahoma after spending the previous 4 seasons at K-State as their director of scouting. So very well versed in the scouting of, talent here at the college level and at the Power 4 level, which is good to see. I really like this addition. Prior to Kansas State, he spent 5 years on Clemson's support staff, so learning under some really good coaches there. And there obviously is, the connection to Zach Alley there as well. During his time as a graduate assistant, he assisted coaches with day-to-day preparations for practice, diagrammed opponents' offensive plays, developed opponent game plans, and assisted in weekly breakdowns of Clemson's upcoming opponents. He was a pro scouting intern with the Giants, so experience at the NFL level as well during the 2019 preseason before returning to Clemson as an analyst during that season, where the program finished, of course, playing in the national championship, finishing as the runner-up. He is a native of Baltimore, Maryland. He graduated from Clemson with a bachelor's degree in sports communications in 2017 and then earned a master's degree in athletic leadership back in 2020. So young, but experienced and already doing a great job helping West Virginia recruit the portal. Chuck Lilly, WVU football's new general manager, that's going to help West Virginia bring in all this great talent that we'll be talking about a lot here on the CRW as we continue to cover the building of this roster throughout the offseason, guys. But that's what I had as far as transfer portal updates and coaching staff updates. Want to provide a little basketball talk here at the end as West Virginia gets a win over Colorado. We'll get to that momentarily before we wrap up. Before I do that, I want to get to some of your all's comments really quick. Let me take a swig of my water, catch up on some of your all's comments, and then we'll talk basketball before we wrap up this January 12th live stream here on the CRW. Channel member WVU Mountaineer with Kenny says smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate that. If you guys would do that, helps us a ton. Just take a second, hit that thumbs up button. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you want to be like WVU Mountaineer with Kenny, have that nice WVU football helmet beside your name, you can become a channel member here. Help support us monetarily, monthly there, just by hitting the join button down there in the video description. Super low price, less than, you pay for a pack of water at the grocery store. You can get that to be a channel member here, and you get all kinds of bonus WVU football content, player grades, snap counts, film reviews, game rewatches, all kinds of good stuff, and it helps keep this mic recorded and keep that camera rolling, and we can never thank you guys enough. But if you can't do that, understand, fast, easy, and free way is just hit the thumbs up button and be sure that you're subscribed here so you can get these videos right into your feed and stay up to date with what's going on in the WVU football world. Another channel member, Kenny Evans, says, great win in Colorado. Go WVU. Indeed. Hey, Leslie, what's going on? She says, hello, Jordan and everyone. Great win today against Colorado. Indeed. Nathan Scott, channel member, says, here we go. That's right, Nathan. That's right. Kenny Evans. That's right. I meant to post that for you in the comments on the last one. I didn't. Let me see if I can pull it up really quickly since I forgot to post it last time. I meant to post it in the comments. Right there. I think I have the link here on Spotify. Yeah. Let's see here. Let me share it. I'll share it in the chat for you, Kenny. There's the link to the Rich Rod episode on Jim Rome there on Spotify. Sorry, Kenny. I meant to post that last night. Completely slipped my mind really quickly. Mountaineer athletes, appreciate you always got some good questions, and he's always got the hot piss as well, man, as a lot of you guys do in chat there. Who do you see leaving before the season starts? I feel we lose at least one running back to transfer, either Dunbar or Hubbard. I don't know. That's tough to predict. Maybe not bad candidates there with some bringing in some running backs that are going to be ahead of them, although those guys have, a lot less eligibility, so they could still get playing time in the future. So hopefully they would stick around, but I do think you'll see some movement after spring, as you usually do. We'll probably see, a few departures, hopefully not many. Hopefully everyone wants to stick around, but also, that winter conditioning is going to be tough. It's going to be a whole new world with Rich Rod that they're going to have to get used to for the up-tempo offense. Some people may not like that, so there are going to be some other departures. And like I said, we're going to be bringing in a big slew of transfers again in the spring as well. James Weekly said, seen Mr. Fox in Morgantown. Nate Scott said, Mr. Scotty Fox. Hey, that's right. That's right, Nate Scott. Scott Fox is one of the early enrollees. And like I said, I'm going to either have a video up tomorrow about the early enrollees, or the actual real plan is hopefully I'll have the podcast uploaded tomorrow, and I'll talk about that during a segment of a new podcast episode, which fingers crossed will be able to get that out tomorrow. But that will be something I talk about, is the early enrollees, because multiple true freshmen are going to be here for spring practice, which is nice to see. Nice to see for sure. Everything WVU Football Podcast, channel member here as well, which you guys be sure to check out his show here if you haven't already. Give him a subscription on YouTube. Spring game can't get here soon enough is right, man. That is right for sure, Cody. Appreciate you as always. What's going on, channel member Trey in here? I see you in there. Earth Ether says, yeah, Devontae Golden Nelson. That's right. Officially in now. Officially in. What's going on, Edward Batten? Asking if we heard about Travis Trickett. Not officially. I did share the report from 247's Mike Kazaza the other day. Sounds like his title is going to be Senior Offensive Assistant, I believe is what they said. We're still awaiting the official press release from the university. Maybe that one will come tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Could very well happen for sure. Channel member Kenny said, exciting about how our team is coming together. So am I. So am I. Dime Drawer 4 said, John Small not on the wooden watch list. What a freaking disgrace. I heard about that. They must have shown that when I didn't get to watch a portion of the game when I wasn't watching, because I didn't get to watch the first half, watched most of the second. First half, had to take my wife to work and wait on her for a second, so I was listening on the radio for a bit while she took some pictures. She's a photographer, and so then got home and watched the second half. But, yeah, definitely complete travesty if he's not on there. There's not many players in the country playing better than him, and certainly not many in the Big 12 Conference. Another great game from him. More on that momentarily. We'll get to that update on the basketball score today, and we'll talk some stats from that game. Nate Scott, as he says, 18 out, 26 in. Appreciate that, Nate. I knew it was around 25 or 26, I thought, so that's what it is. 18 that transferred out. We've brought in 26 already, and I think more will be on the way post-spring. Everything WVU Football Podcast says spring practice starts late March. I'd say, yeah, around mid to late March, usually somewhere in the March in the teens range is usually what it is. I'm expecting them to probably release the dates on that anytime now that the spring semester is getting ready to kick off. We'll probably get the date for the spring game really soon and the date for spring practice in general. Let's see. Where was I here? H. Bar Farkle says, is this the most comprehensive makeover of a college football program in WVU's history? That's a good question, man. Haven't thought about that. Appreciate you as always being a channel member, H. Bar Farkle. And I think that it would probably have to be, right? I mean, I don't know if there's another time where we've only returned, two or three starters on offense, 2 or 3 starters on defense, only 1 starter on special teams being your punter. And, you're having to bring in, 30 plus players. Who knows how many it'll be when it's all said and done. It's got to be up there. I mean, if it's not, I'd be surprised. H. Bar Farkle for sure. Appreciate that. Everything David Football Podcast says, if you guys are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. It's free and helps the algorithm. Appreciate that a lot. Indeed, it does, guys. It really does. Hitting the like button helps, and subscribing to the channel helps you get the videos directly into your feed and get notified when I go live and continue to provide these transfer portal updates. But other than that, guys, let's do the basketball update here before we get ready to wrap this one up. Don't want to keep you guys too long coming at you late on a Sunday night. I know some people may have to work tomorrow. But West Virginia with the win over Colorado, 78-70. Hard fought in the second half. Colorado was scrappy. It wouldn't go away. They were trying hard to get their first Big 12 conference win. I think, unfortunately, the blueprint is out there for teams to attack West Virginia. They have the shortened roster where they're hurting with the injuries. They're going to try and get us in foul trouble. They're going to try and, go straight dribble drives and go into us and rack up a ton of free throws. We saw Colorado do that and come back in this game. We saw Kansas do that when we had a big lead on them and come back in that game. Luckily, both of those times we were able to survive and get the win. Arizona did it with a bit more success as they handed us a loss. But that is what teams are going to try and do, guys. So I know the second half was frustrating, and hopefully the whistle isn't always that ticky-tacky in my opinion, to where a team goes to the line 20 plus times in one half. Hopefully not, but that's what teams are going to do, so just get ready. This isn't the end of it. Teams are going to attack WVU in that way. They want us to get in foul trouble. They know we have a short bench. They know we're dealing with injuries. They also know that we're not very tall inside, so they're going to try and attack us that way moving forward. That is the blueprint now, that when you get into this portion of the season right here mid-season, you kind of get the scouting report out. You know what team strengths and weaknesses are, and teams have figured out that that's one of ours, and that's how they're going to attack us. But the silver lining is no excuses, no matter what. Darren DeVries and company are still going to try and find ways to win ball games down the stretch. Like we said, they did it against Kansas, and they did it again here against Colorado. Despite being outscored in the second half, they still managed to get the 8-point win at the end. Some really big shots from Joe Yesufu, who had probably his best game of the season, in my opinion. Really stepped up when West Virginia needed another ball handler with KJ Tenner out, especially once Colorado went to that press there late in the second half. And then Javon Small continues to be great. We'll talk about some of the individual numbers momentarily, but those two stood out. And Ed Andre is probably the player that stepped up the most since West Virginia's been injury-riddled and had kind of the shortened roster. Been really impressed by him as well. So just kind of some of my initial thoughts there, but let's talk about the stats. Field goal-wise, 45% for the Mountaineers, 42% for Colorado. West Virginia, 8 of 24 on threes. Not the best percentage, but you did hit 8 of them, which helped you down the stretch, hitting some three-point shots. Not your favorite percentage that you'd like to hit, 33, but you still did a good job defending it. You hold Colorado to 31, so you do perform better at least. Free throws, it ends up 20 of 28 for WVU. 71%, 24 of 30 for Colorado, 80%. I know it was a rough day for Toby Oconee at the free throw line. Hopefully he gets a little bit better on that throughout the season. I know he was around 50% coming into the game, and that's not going to help his percentage, because I think he was over 5 or over 6. Take that away. West Virginia's in the 80, 90% range and shooting really good at the line, so I think that number's a little misleading when you add that into the account. And a lot of Colorado's free throw attempts came in the second half. As we talked about, that whistle kind of changed. They started attacking 20-plus free throw attempts in the second half. Really came back and made it a 2-point game without hitting a field goal attempt, which is a crazy thing to think. They do out-rebound WVU 35-30. They get 13 assists compared to West Virginia's 9. And this is the number that I think you're seeing kind of gradually drop for West Virginia. And a lot of that is because where you're missing some of your other pieces, Javon Small's having to do a little bit more of it himself, so the assist numbers have kind of gone down, but I'd love to see the ball movement come back for West Virginia at times. Unfortunately, when West Virginia gets into those scoring droughts, it's a lot of Javon Small dribbling, or somebody with the ball dribbling, and a lot of guys standing around watching till it gets late in the shot clock, and you try and do, a high ball screen and make something happen and just end up jacking a shot late, versus earlier in the season when we were, having a lot better ball movement, getting a lot better looks. Now, there's multiple reasons for that. I think the depth and stuff ties into that. West Virginia plays really hard on defense, and when you don't have a lot of guys to come in and relieve you, you're going to get tired legs. You're going to take your breaks on offense versus taking them on defense, because you can't really afford to. So sometimes that's why guys are standing around, because guys are straight tired, man. Guys are having to play a lot of minutes, and it's affecting West Virginia's offense at times, unfortunately. That's why it's not as crisp as it was earlier in the season, but still finding ways to get it done, and that's important. And when you get 7 steals, that's going to help. And I think the thing that really helped West Virginia the most in this game was limiting their turnovers. You only turn the ball over 7 times. You have single-digit turnovers, especially playing on the road. You're going to win a lot of those ball games. And West Virginia had 12 points off turnovers and only allowed 2 points off turnovers. That's been a key statistic if you're watching throughout the season. Darren DeVries teams have had success when they've limited points off turnovers. Even when West Virginia has turned the ball over 15 plus times, sometimes they've limited the turnovers. They do a great job getting back. Transition defense, they've done a really good job throughout the season. Points in the paint, West Virginia doing a great job in this game, 32 to Colorado's 26. The fouls nearly even, although I would like to see what the fouls were in the second half as opposed to the first half. And like we said, West Virginia up to a 14-point lead in the game at 1 point. So there's the team stats. Let's take a look at some of the individual standouts for the Mountaineers. And I think Ed Andre deserves a mention yet again. 5 of 5 from the field. 4 steals for Ed Andre. How about that number? 12 points, 4 rebounds. continues to really be a force. Ever since the injury to Hansberry, he stepped up in a big way and continues to be an impactful player. Jonathan Powell hit a couple big threes, 2 of 5 from the field. The only thing that you'd like to see is him be a little bit more consistent. He's a bit of a streaky shooter right now, but that happens sometimes when you're young. I think he's going to come into his own, but does get double-digit scoring for the Mountaineers with 10 points and grabs 2 boards. Sincere Harris, 6 points, 5 rebounds, did a great job guarding Colorado's best player there, Hammond, for the good majority of the game till he fouled out late in the second half there. And then you saw, Joseph Yesufu. I think that's why you shout him out as well. Not only did he step up making some really good plays when the guy that couldn't guard him on the dribble drive, but he was doing some good things on defense after we lost Buck Harris as well. And then Javon Small, like we talked about, should be a Player of the Year candidate. Definitely a Big 12 Conference Player of the Year candidate. 26 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. So that nearly 20 points per game scoring average that I believe is tops in the Big 12 Conference. Going to continue to go up after a 26-point performance, but to add 7 assists and 4 rebounds, great job. Love seeing the 7 assists. He's able to dish it out when guys are keying on him. And only 4 rebounds is kind of surprising because we've been seeing him hit the glass so hard, but great performance from him. And what I love seeing is 10 of 12 from the free throw line as well. Toby Oconee, not the best day for him. Did do some good stuff grabbing 3 rebounds, but you'd like to see him have at least 5+ rebounds, maybe get a steal or a block in there. He's been doing that throughout the season. Surprise, no assists either. And the really bad thing was the struggle at the free throw line. If, Toby Oconee is one of your starters, you need him to hit one of these 3-point shots. You need him to hit his free throws. And if he's going to be in there, he needs to at least be making some assists or grabbing some boards if he's not helping you in the scoring category. Not trying to knock on Toby so much, but it's just been a bit of a mixed bag for him. You look at a game earlier in the season, like when we beat Arizona the first time, he had 20 points in that game, and that's kind of when you say, wow, this guy can be really good. You see his ceiling, and then a game like this, you kind of see his floor a little bit, and you'd like it to see him land a little bit somewhere in the middle of those two more consistently, and hopefully closer to the ceiling. West Virginia only played 8 players in this game, short bench. Jake Auer does get in, and I think in the time that he was in there, you do see why West Virginia doesn't really or can't really afford to play him so often, despite the fact of him being such a weapon on offense and his ability to hit the 3-point shot. He does leave you a little bit of a liability on defense, unfortunately, but was glad to see him get into the game. Amani Hansberry's minutes climbing steadily as he continues to try and get back to health, up to 17 minutes in this game. 4 points off the bench, 4 rebounds, so does help you out there in that aspect. And, of course, 4 fouls. Him and Ed Andre both did a great job somehow, nearly avoiding to foul out for the whole game. Andre did foul out late there, but Hansberry stayed with 4. Both of them had 4 for about the whole, I want to say, final 10 minutes of the second half. And then, of course, the man of the hour, saved the best for last, in my opinion of this game. One of the best bench performances of the season because you get 18 points from one guy off that bench, and Joe Yesufu, who really stepped up in the second half when West Virginia needed it. They were having trouble breaking the press. He helped with that, and a lot of times he would get ahead of steam, and he was so quick. He had his guy on his back hip already and was able to get to the rim, either finish at the cup or, get to the line, and he hit most of his free throws. 4 or 5. The biggest one I can think of was a 3-point play that stretched West Virginia's lead out to, 5 or 6, and then they were able to not look back from then, and you kind of felt like the win was secured there with about 60 to 90 seconds to go. Huge play there as he made a kind of floater with his left hand and got the foul. Shout out to Joseph Yesufu, 18 points, 2 steals, 3 rebounds. Huge performance in this game. West Virginia doesn't win the game without him stepping up in the way that he did, and hopefully he can continue to be that type of player throughout the rest of the season, because I thought what impressed me most was the way he stepped up on defense, because at times, in the past few games when I've watched him, I'm like, he's really good on offense, but sometimes leaves a little bit to be desired on defense. That wasn't the case today, especially late when he needed to step up after Buck Harris fouled out. He did that on the defensive end and was kind of our go-to man in the final 2 minutes there when it wasn't Javon Small. It was Joseph Yesufu, who had a great game. I may give him my player of the game just because it's something different than giving it to Javon Small every game. So I'll go with Joseph Yesufu on this one as West Virginia gets the 78-70 win over Colorado. The Mountaineers move to 12-3 overall, 3-1 in conference. They stay on the road, head to Houston, who they'll play on Wednesday. So there's your update on the basketball game today after West Virginia finds a way to get the win. But that's what I had for you guys. Wanted to give the transfer portal update as Devontae Golden Nelson officially added to the roster. West Virginia has 4 or 5 other guys that remain uncommitted that could still add to that transfer in list. Chuck Lilly named GM, and then Darren DeVries and company getting their 12th win of the season and their second road win there as well. So that's what I had, guys. Let me get to some of your all's comments, and then we'll wrap up here. All right, guys. Let's see here. Where were we? What wide receivers are coming back? James Weekly asks. So coming back, let me pull up the roster tracker really quickly since you asked. We do actually have multiple receivers coming back, which we're going to have a really full receiver room with the ones that we're adding via the portal and the ones that we're adding from the high school ranks as well. But from what we have coming back is Jaden Bray, Jarrell Williams, Rodney Gallagher, TJ Johnson, and then our 2 redshirt freshmen, Brandon Raymond and Don Collins. So already had, 6 guys returning. We've added transfers and freshmen, so should have a really solid receiver room for 2025 there. I appreciate the question, James. Let's see. Yeah, Earth Ether, there should be a join button there. He's asking how to join the channel as a channel member. Should be a join button near the channel name, but I also know that on some devices, for some reason, the join button doesn't show up on certain devices depending on what you're watching on. So what I can do for you, Earth Ether, is I can drop a link for you to join straight in the chat if it's not showing up there, if the join button's not showing up. So let me do that for you really quickly. I'm going to drop that link in the chat. And there it is. There's the link to join as a channel member there. Appreciate you asking the question, Earth Ether. Down there, Kenny says, Yesfu was a much-needed player today with his 18 points. Indeed. Couldn't agree more. WV Fan 23 says the energy and atmosphere at Milan Puskar Stadium will be the best it's been since 2007. I can't wait for the first game. I'm sure Rich Rod will have goosebumps. He will. I will. All of you probably will as well. It's going to be so awesome. Can't wait either, man. Mountaineer athletes, I think I just answered that for you right there before I saw your question even. How about that? But the link should be in the chat there if the join button's not showing up. Let's see. I see people asking for the members link. Got it in there now. And hey, boom. Earth Ether following through, becoming a channel member. Hey, can't thank you enough for doing that, Earth Ether. It means a lot, and you're going to get some extra bonus content your way now. If you go to some different playlists on the channel, you'll be able to see a bunch of different videos that you didn't have access to before. You can go to the snap counts playlist, the player grades playlist, the film review playlist, the game rewatch playlist, and the Almost Heaven member hangouts as well. One of those in the books from January. We'll have another one coming up in February. Those are once a month. And then, of course, we'll have plenty of stuff coming for this upcoming season, so a perfect time to join as a channel member, as Mountaineer Athletes has now as well. Really can't thank you enough for that as well, Mountaineer Athletes. You guys are the catalyst that keep it all going here, and you guys are really going to like it, not only throughout this offseason where we're going to do some cool film review stuff, looking at, Rich Rod's offense at Jack State, seeing how it's changed, what it might look like at WVU, and then looking at Zach Alley's defense. But once we get into the season, that's when, of course, you get the player grades every week, the snap counts. I do a depth chart projection that's only for members-only streams there. And, of course, not to mention the cool W football helmet you see beside the name of the members in chat and access to custom emojis and stuff like that as well. So really appreciate you guys coming, channel members. Means a lot there. It really does. Dime Drawer 4 says, Coach DeVries gave Auer a chance today and he got smoked 3 straight possessions. Don't think we'll see him anymore other than mop-up time. Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully they still give him another chance. Just has to try and, clean it up on the defense a little bit to at least be serviceable on that end for us to play him, maybe 5 to 10 minutes a game at points, because he can be a threat on offense for sure. He's a lethal 3-point shooter. You could argue maybe the best on the team even. He's right up there with Jonathan Powell and Javon Small and Tucker and those guys, I think, as far as just straight, shooting ability from 3-point range. But definitely was a little bit of a liability today on defense, unfortunately. But still hoping for the best for him. We'll see what happens. Dime Drawer 4 also says, keep playing defense and we'll win our fair share. Completely agree. I still stand by my statement that this team will win at least 20 regular season games, I think. That's what I changed my prediction to after, my original prediction was just that they'd be a tournament team, and I think that that's going to bear out to be true. I went out on a ledge with that one, and paid off, hopefully. Or hopefully it's going to pay off, knock on wood. And as Mountaineer with Kenny says, they're learning to win through adversity, which is what we need. And a great thing to be able to do, especially come, conference tournament time and, of course, in March Madness as well. W, Mountaineer athletes. Big W, a big W for Mountaineer athletes, a big W for Earth Ether as well for becoming channel members. That's right, Trey. Appreciate that. Let's go indeed. Let's go, guys. But that's all I had for you guys. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the basketball game as West Virginia gets the win. And, of course, had another small transfer portal update. Just wanted to really add Devontae Golden Nelson back to our list, let you guys know a little bit more about him, and then show you guys the 4 or 5 names that are still remaining as targets that we are on commitment watch for, at least 3 out of the 5, as I said there during that update. And, of course, welcome Chuck Lilly, our new general manager, who's already doing a phenomenal job. But that's what I have here for the January 12th stream, guys. I'll get up out of here, let you guys hit the hay in case you got to work tomorrow. I know tomorrow's Monday. Hope you guys have a great work week if it does start off for you tomorrow. But hopefully we'll also get some more news tomorrow. If so, I'll probably be back live with you again. But if nothing else, there will be some more content coming up on the channel. Going to have a podcast episode coming out in the near future. So look out for that. You'll find that here, and you can find it on any podcast platform as well. But appreciate you guys that have tuned into these live streams, or if you watch them after the fact on a playback, I appreciate that as well. Either way you're tuning in there, just be sure, take a second, hit the thumbs up button, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to stay up to date on all this off-season news here throughout the Mountaineer football program. Having said that, I appreciate you tuning in this one. Hope you guys have a great night. As always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.